What's going on? It's your boy Mixmaster B here live from the MMB radio studios for the MMB radio podcast, where no topic is too big or too small. We talk about them all. And my guest on this episode of the podcast is a woman who has been the most sought out adult talent in the world right now. I mean, she has been making the media rounds, doing all kinds of podcasts. I mean, she's everywhere. She has her own toy now. She's just simply amazing, and I'm so happy and excited to have her on. She's the 2023 AVN Best Trans Newcomer Performer. I want to welcome her right now, Miss Brittney Kade. Brittney, what's going on?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, excited to have you on the podcast. First, before we get into any kind of questions, how does it feel right now to be, like, again, I said the most sought out talent right now, like you're mentioned and people hitting you up is like, it's got to be blowing you up as like crazy. How does it feel to have everybody like wanting a piece of your attention right now?
It's pretty interesting. I don't know. I've never would have thought in a million years that this many people would like want to talk to me or like want to shoot me, or even like when I was at the AVN Expo, I had ran out of my like pictures that I had. Like I really underestimated I guess my popularity. So it's been really awesome, and I'm so grateful to have all these doors opening for me, like my toy line. I recently, like within the past a week, I've done like 4 different podcasts. I'm shooting like crazy, and I'm just very blessed, and I'm thankful for it, all of it.
Well, I have a lot of questions for you tonight. We also have some fan questions for you. And, I mean, I'm sure you probably have answered this on almost every type of podcast already, and you're probably going to be answering it on more podcasts. But again, like I said, you're in high demand right now. So a lot of people, you know, they all want to hear what you have to say. So I guess the first thing I want to kind of start off is like, kind of tell everybody, like, your upbringing, because being a trans performer, kind of take us through, you know, that whole transformation, because I've done some research and I kind of looked into it and I've read articles. And
the public eye since I was 17, I shared my story with the Daily Mail on how I struggled really badly with bullying in school. I grew up in Palm Springs, California, which you would think would be a more progressive place to grow up, being that it has a huge gay population. But I faced so much bullying and just the worst experiences in school and dealing with other kids. I mean, there were a lot of dark times in my childhood because of it. Like, I had to drop out of school after the 6th grade. I have lost family members. My dad was never in my life because I was so feminine. He just didn't know what to do with me. And yeah, it was a struggle for real. But when I transitioned at 13, it really did change my life. And it gave me so much more hope and excitement to just live my life and be who I was, and not have to conform to other people's expectations of me, I guess.
Now, you mentioned about you not having your father in your life. Growing up, you said you felt feminine and I guess identified as, you know, being feminine since birth. Was your parents trying to do anything? Because you hear so many horror stories about kids that are, you know, either want to transition or identify as something else or just come out as gay. And people, family trying to, you know, force religion, therapy, all kinds of weird stuff to kind of get them to conform what they want. Did you deal with any of those struggles like that? And like, did your family try to stop you from being who you genuinely were?
Absolutely. So my mom, she's been engaged, I want to say, at least 5 times. And I swear, every single guy that had ever came into the picture aside from like maybe one, but still on the fence and awkward about it. But they always had a feeling towards me being trans and being feminine, and they would tell my mom, oh, you shouldn't let them play with Barbies, they're gonna grow up and be gay. Just stuff like that. So there would be days when I would have literally all my Barbies, all my girly toys, my princess stuff, it was all thrown away. I was also dealing with I don't know, my grandmother, she was very religious. She went to church every Sunday, and I was kind of risking losing her in my life, coming out as trans, and I was very afraid of it for the longest time. But ironically enough, she's been the most stable and supportive person that I even now have, even doing porn. Yeah.
But let me ask too: do you have any brothers or sisters? Like, who was somebody that was someone that was a friend that you could say was, you know, a confidant or an ally for you?
Growing up, I had no brothers or sisters. Honestly, it sounds very sad, but I spent a lot of my childhood alone. My mother was addicted to drugs and pain medication. She also is bipolar and was untreated for the majority of my childhood. So imagine going through that and then dealing with like internal struggles, not just like external. So really the only place I could go was like in my own world, and kind of just, honestly, I spent a lot of time alone. I didn't have any friends. No one at school wanted to hang out with the weirdo, the freak, which is what everyone viewed me as. And I didn't have the support that I wanted, the comfort from my family. So I just kind of turned inward and really, I don't know, I escaped into the online world and YouTube, and just being able to connect with other people online that were feeling the same way that I did. It made me feel way less alone and crazy.
Now, at 13, you said you started transitioning. So what steps were you taking to transition, and who helped with that process? Because, again, mentioning difficulties at home with mom and not having support from friends or any friends and family, what is some of the steps that you took to go through to transition? Because there are people that, you know, do different procedures, and kind of take us all through that at 13.
Yeah, so I've always been a hustler, like since I was a child. And I think part of that is just because like I didn't have conventional parents that took care of me. So I was always having to take care of myself. And when it came to my transition, I remember like I would go on eBay and I would like sell all these like electronics or like iPods or something, whatever that I had that would be of value. And or even at school, I would, as a kid, I would sell like candy or like snacks and stuff. Like I was always trying to make money, and I used that money to go to thrift stores, and I would purchase like girl clothes, whatever I could find that was cute and I could wear, because I literally started with nothing.
You can find some cute shit at the thrift store. So
you can. I'm not knocking thrift stores. But that's where I started. I started with the thrift stores, and I bleached my hair. I was a kid. I would like steal makeup from Target and like I would do my makeup and yeah, eventually I ended up being an underage escort because of this. And yeah, I was escorting at a very young age, and that's how I supported myself for a while. Those are all things that like I had to do to really become the girl that I wanted. I don't escort anymore. Like it gave me a drug problem. I could not do that sober. So it was kind of a dark period in my life. And yeah, I got on hormones when I was 14. I remember calling so many different people. It was very difficult finding someone that would treat me because I was so young.
I was going to say, because you would need some type of consent. Wouldn't he be an underage or?
Yeah, and like I will give my mom the fact that she was very supportive of me becoming a girl. There's a lot of things that she felt short on, but at least I had that. So she signed off on me getting on estrogen and starting my hormone therapy. And I'm very grateful for that because I do feel like that's why I am like successful in my line of work now, is because I had like such an early head start at becoming female, like physically.
Mm-hmm. Now, what sparked you to get into the adult business? And I hear people who, that mention, being trans, that it's such a hard thing to live as a trans person as far as getting work, having a steady job. So a lot of people, like you said, resort to doing things like escorting, stealing, and, getting into the adult world. What made you want to get into it? Was it because you felt like there was no other options for you to be successful? And I don't say that to be like ignorant, but it's just, because a lot of people, that I have met that are trans are like, hey, I can't get a regular job because places will just discriminate against me, and there's ways of getting around discriminating me, and, there's no other world for me to make a living.
I mean, I think it's very sad that is a harsh reality for a lot of trans people. For me, it was not a last resort. It was, if anything, a passion for mine. Like, I had done the escorting thing, and I had an awful experience with that for a variety of reasons. When I was looking back now, I'm like, okay, y'all were a bunch of predators, fucking with a teenager, but now, and then on top of it, I was on drugs and everything, and it was really hard for me, and I feel like because I was putting myself in danger, I was needing to be fucked up to be there. That's how I knew it was like, it wasn't meant for me. It works for some girls, and I'm not like shaming them, like make that fucking bad girl. But for me, it's like porn is so much safer. You're in a very controlled environment. You're not going to get roofied. You're not going to be assaulted. I would hope not, but you're in a room with like a bunch of other people with cameras, lights, with directors. You know that the people that you're sleeping with have a clean STI test, which is something you don't get with escorting. And I don't know. I love being in front of the camera. I do think like being so neglected has made me such an attention whore that I love it.
Well, you definitely get the attention online. But were like relationships with guys prior to, I mean, obviously escorting and everything, but did you have any kind of solid relationships with guys where you're having like consensual, sex with them, where you weren't feeling like it was something you had to do illegally?
Yeah, I've had multiple relationships that have lasted like years at a time, and I am lucky, and I'm also cursed in a way where I do feel like, okay, especially being in porn, I stand out over so many other people just because of that. And I do work it to my advantage. So the disadvantage would definitely be dealing with dating, because it is hard, because I feel so guilty sometimes that whoever I'm dating, my partner always has to deal with my stigma that I face of being trans and being in porn. I know the guy that I'm dating right now, people have found out. I do feel very guilty for whoever I'm dating, because they do have to deal with the same stigma that I face of being like ostracized. I do think each year it progresses and the world is being more educated, and it's not as big of a deal as it should be. But I'm blessed to like have the partner that I do, but I do feel guilty that they have to deal with the backlash when it's me. Like it's part of my baggage. Like if you're dating me, you're gonna have to have the balls to hold my hand and be like, yeah, I'm with a trans girl, but not just that, but I'm also with a porn star, which it's a lot.
Yeah, it's totally understandable. It's because, and I can understand the guilt part, which first off, you shouldn't feel that way, but I can understand having that feeling, because now everything that, like you said, your baggage that you carry, everything that you have to deal with, your partner now has to deal with, and they may not be equipped in, the state of mind to handle it the way you are able to handle it, because they haven't lived it. They're not living it. They're living it because they're dating you, but not living it because they are you. So I can totally understand where that can be, extra stress on a relationship. But back to getting into the business. So people out there who are in the same situation as you, that are interested in getting into the business, how is it getting into it? Would you link up with like an agency? I mean, I know you're represented now by Hussy Models, but like, how did that door open for you?
So yeah, I am signed with Hussy, and as far as I know, I'm the only trans porn star that's signed with any agency right now, which is pretty cool. But
you're breaking barriers day by day.
I am. I love it. But when I first got into porn, I had a friend who was already in the industry, and she kind of helped me get in a word with one of the producers and told me who to shoot for, being a newcomer and an amateur. And she kind of was a big help in getting me in, because I had asked other trans performers and they were no help at all in getting me in. So she was great and lent like the biggest helping hand with me, because after doing shoots for that company she had recommended, I got at the Trans Erotica Awards Best New Face the following March. And then I signed with Hussy, which really took my career to the next level, and got me opportunities with browsers, with Evil Angel, Digital Playground, some of the really big porn companies that shoot not just trans, which, don't get me wrong, I love shooting for the trans niche websites, but like you said, breaking barriers is like what I love to do. So if I could do more shoots for mainstream porn sites like that, that's the real goal for me. But I do think my career mostly, I don't know, it took off after my second boob job. Like doing that, like really put it over the edge.
Well, I mean, definitely, like I say, you're crossing over into different companies and platforms where a good majority of their work or content is straight, regular porn. And then you coming in with the trans porn, it's just like bringing a whole new idea and realm to these companies, because there's people out there that may not know anything about that world, and they're seeing your content for the first time, and you're sparking interest of people. And again, you are the most sought out person right now in the adult business, which is fucking crazy, because there's so many people, like I said, wanted to talk to you and wants a piece of your time. And you mentioned about the boob job, so I want to talk about some of the questions that I've got from fans. So that was one of the questions I kept getting bombarded with. Everybody wanted to know what size were her boobs. They're like, people are like, I absolutely love her boobs. What size are her boobs?